107 FM and 710 Keel, Robert J. Wright and Aaron McCarty, and in studio for a little bit is Shreveport Councilwoman LeVette Fuller. A, welcome back. B, nice dress.
Oh, hey, thank you, and thank you. Good morning.
So, the mayor said yesterday, well, let me back up. Let me ask you this first. Would it be fair or unfair to say,
Well, you're going to say it, so,
well, you'll tell me if it's fair or unfair, that you and Councilman Bowman were at the forefront of wanting Ben Raymond removed?
That piece of legislation would not have been written if we didn't have 4 votes, and I'm going to tell you right now, whether they tell you on the record or not, it was bipartisan.
You had 4 votes.
We would not have put that forward, and we didn't call the meeting. The chair has to call the meeting. Either 4 of us or the chair.
Did you want
And there were
him,
3 of us plus the chair, but that's on them to tell you if they want to actually say it.
Did you want him removed, or did you just want the no confidence vote?
And what's the
Some
difference?
definitive action needed to be taken, but we are not his supervisor.
When the mayor said yesterday that he had asked Chief Ben to resign June 2nd, was that, I'm assuming that was a surprise to you.
That was the first time I had heard that.
Because why else would, because you wouldn't have called the meeting.
Correct.
And the meeting's canceled now, I assume.
Correct.
Okay.
No rumors, no behind-the-scenes rumblings. You hadn't heard anything. Had
There's
anybody
always
said
some
to you?
sort of whisper campaign of people hedging bets on what's going to happen, but I need an official, verbal, this is what's going on, and if I don't have that, I'm not going to entertain rumors.
But that's a pretty damn big secret to keep.
Isn't it, though?
To keep the lid on for 90 days.
It makes you wonder if someone did know, if people did know.
At least 2 knew.
Well, I mean,
And probably more than that.
Did any council people know?
I got the impression from a comment Mitt Nicholson made to
I
one
got
of the
an
TV.
impression by him being there flanking the mayor. Like, how often does he flank the mayor on anything?
That is an interesting point, and I thought the same thing, not to get way off track. Councilman Nicholson hardly, they're not exactly hand holders.
Bosom buddies.
They're maybe a little bit cozier than me and the mayor, but none of us are prairie voles about anything.
Okay, let's get right to it because you've been in a hot seat over this. There have been lots of comments about things, and coming straight from Chief Raymond, who said to blame me for the crime in this city is ludicrous.
He's either deflecting or doesn't understand, as the kids say, understand the assignment. He's either deflecting or he didn't understand the assignment, because I have not blamed him for the crime. I have blamed him for the response to the crime. Police do not prevent crime, but they can deter crime. And a bigger police presence on our streets would be helpful,
How do you
especially
do that
for
when you're
response
115
times.
down?
Now, let me
How,
add.
how do you do that?
Out of the AICP best
Wait,
practice, that's
AI
like the National Association for Police Chiefs, of whatever existing group of police you have. And right now we're at 460 before you start looking at people on leave. 60% should be on calls for service, not in a uniform, not on a special operation, calls for service.
And what's our percentage?
30%-ish,
Why?
thereabouts. Because
me-
he has people in special operations. He has people in different types of policing. We do have a lot of detectives. Now, his theory that he has shared here is that he needs to have all his detectives in order to protect victims, in order to try to bring assailants to justice for the victims' families and for the victims. How much crime could be deterred and how fewer victims could we have if we actually had a larger police presence on the street? Now, from my research, a city of our size, like averaging between 100 and 200,000, has about 16 to 20 police officers per 10,000. And right now we are at 24. And about 5 or 6 years ago, we would have been at about 26 officers per 10,000 people. Right now, like our entire force, 460, puts us at, with our new census downgrading, our decrease in population, we are at, and have been for the last couple of years, at about 24 police officers per 10,000 people. That means that we could have made that adjustment to 60% out of who is existing. But the thing is, my issue is not about the crime so much as it is about retention. I offered a 17% raise at the base level to bring us to the regional average, and that was shut down. And our outgoing chief is not somebody who advocated with me for that. that was shot down.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I really do want to finish this.
Okay.
When we talk about what causes crime, and I hear the dog whistle a lot from your majority of your listening audience about families and the breakdown of the family, I am someone who has been out on the street cleaning up blight, raising money to expedite the demolition of blighted buildings, engaging volunteers to help clean up neighborhoods that are vulnerable. I have seen people get evicted that were causing crime in neighborhoods so that the children in those blocks have been safe. But I've also seen the shootings happening when kids are getting off the school bus because the police officers will know, the criminals know that the police officers at shift change at 3 o'clock. And that is when they know the response times will be even slower. They're hip to us and we're not making those adjustments. But there's another thing here. It's not just pay. I have had officers who have left here say it's the inconsistencies and disparities in how he disciplines, the blatant favoritism as they see it, the whispers and grapevine about federal investigations because of theft of overtime, things that y'all can verify if you would like to. This is about leadership. We had 8 officers that were indicted, and I keep hearing from professionals that is discipline that could have been handled in-house. You talk about police officers trying to do their job and then getting arrested. That is on the police chief.
Yeah.
He could have handled that in-house. And you can't put that all back on civil service because guess what? You can go back and read the transcripts and see where things were done and upheld by civil service, appealed and still upheld by civil service because of flaws in what was done administratively by the police leadership.
When we spoke with Jerry Bowman on this topic yesterday, he said basically what you said. It's not so much the crime numbers, it's the way manpower is allocated, it's the recruiting process, etc.
Yes.
So, okay, there's 2 city council people who are sort of similar minds with what they perceived the chief's shortcomings to be.
And we agree on very little else.
You said you had a majority on the council. Would it be fair to say the other 2 would agree with you on what they see as
they may have their own reasonings for what their opinion and the way they were going to vote, but we would not have brought that forward if we did not have 4 votes. I'm not going to take a roll call here, and they may not want to speak to you on the record about it, but it was bipartisan.
The police unions will not allow the chief to take detectives off of their role and put them on the street. Accurate? Not.
Get that in writing from somebody. I keep hearing another grapevine I hear is that this mayor, and you know that we're not warm and fuzzy, but that this mayor would not let this chief do his job. I want to see the documentation of denied plans that this chief put forward to this mayor that were denied, things that he was not allowed to do. And if you feel so strongly that the things you wanted to do would have saved lives, would have helped retain officers, why are you still there? Why didn't you decide earlier to say, I can't work like this? I'm being handcuffed. I can't do my job like this.
One of the other perceived problems, things we heard about sort of off the record, but from a bunch of people, was that as far as the bond issue goes, the one that's coming up in November, that there was a lack of a plan on the record for what the chief wanted to do for the SPD with the bond money.
The majority of the bond proposals are doughy. They're not cooked all the way through. So, I mean, that's just on average. I've had citizens say to me, I want to do things for police. I want to give resources. I want to see more cars, but I'm not as interested in a $30 million building. Yeah, I think that they should have good facilities. This is what citizens are saying to me, but I'm more interested in seeing a layout where the majority of that money is going to things police need to actually go out and do their jobs.
Time for one more.
Wayne Smith. What should his marching orders be? And he's going to fix our problems.
I actually want to say something else that appeals directly to your audience. Yesterday, I went to see Congressman Mike Johnson at the Southern Hills Rotary. And after that meeting, I had a gentleman come up to me and ask me where I was on the police. And I told him how I felt. And he said, we might not agree on why, but this is what I want you to know. I go to Bossier, I see people getting pulled over and getting tickets for speeding, etc. I'm on Uri Drive, and I'm scared to drive because people are going so fast. I'm on I-49, and people are going so fast, and no one ever gets pulled over. We are not getting policed. And that is a choice that he believes is a deliberate choice of the police chief and his leadership.
So your marching orders to Chief Smith?
He needs to be a team player. He needs to do what he said he was going to do yesterday, and we need to see changes, and I want to see a plan. Show us a written plan of what you plan to do with the officers that you have, how you would plan to retain them, how you plan to recruit more, and how you are going to be a fair arbiter when it comes to administration for discipline and pretty much everything else.